All right, so this time we're diving into something a little different.
Okay.
A revenge thriller, but with a twist.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at The Amateur, a 2025 film starring Rami Malek.
Okay, cool.
You know, all those movies like where the hero just like explodes onto the scene,
Yeah.
muscles rippling and ready to just like single-handedly take down an army?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, The Amateur flips the script.
How so?
So our protagonist, Charlie Heller, he's a CIA cryptographer.
Interesting.
Yeah, and his weapon of choice is his mind.
Okay, so what immediately grabs me is how the setup plays with our expectations, you know?
Right.
We're primed for a typical action hero,
Mm-hmm.
but instead we get Charlie, this intellectual powerhouse,
Right.
operating out of a basement office at headquarters in Langley.
Wow.
According to AVS Forum.
That's not exactly the image of like a globe-trotting, gun-wielding spy, is it?
Exactly. It's almost like they're intentionally subverting the image of James Bond, you know? And this isn't Malik's first foray into portraying characters who wield power through technology.
Oh, for sure.
Remember his incredible performance as Elliot Alderson in Mr. Robot.
Oh, yeah?
That intensity, that intellectual prowess.
Yeah.
It seems like he's bringing those same qualities to The Amateur.
Oh, absolutely. And hold on, it gets even more intriguing. Okay, so AVS Forum also mentions that Charlie's superiors actually deny him the help he needs.
Wow.
So he decides to go rogue to get his revenge.
Interesting.
This lone wolf element.
Yeah.
It's a familiar trope,
Sure.
but how does The Amateur put a unique spin on it?
Well, what sets Charlie apart is the driving force behind his actions.
Okay.
The Hollywood Reporter article highlights how Malek himself emphasizes that Charlie's quest for revenge is rooted in his love for his wife, who was killed in a terrorist attack.
Right.
This adds a whole other dimension to his character.
Okay.
It's not cold, calculated vengeance.
Yeah.
It's deeply personal, fueled by grief and a desperate need for justice.
Okay, so we have this incredibly intelligent, emotionally driven character working outside the system.
Right.
But there's another detail that struck me from the Hollywood Reporter article.
What's that?
It mentions a scene where Charlie walks away from an explosion.
Okay.
Classic action movie trope.
Right.
But instead of playing it cool, he flinches, realistically.
Huh.
They even compare it to Heath Ledger's Joker flinching in The Dark Knight.
That detail is brilliant.
Yeah.
It brings a layer of vulnerability to Charlie,
Right.
reminding us that even with all his intellect, he's still human,
Uh-huh.
capable of fear and emotional response.
Yeah.
This grounded portrayal is a breath of fresh air,
Yeah.
especially in a genre that often relies on invincible heroes.
The director, James Hawes, he's quoted in the Hollywood Reporter as saying, "The tropes you want as an audience for a spy thriller are there, but with a twist."
Oh, okay.
I'm curious, what are some of these tropes he might be referring to?
Sure.
And how is The Amateur twisting them?
Well, you've got the international intrigue, the high-stakes missions.
Right.
Those elements are definitely there, as hinted at in both AVS Forum and The Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah.
But instead of a physically dominant protagonist,
Yeah.
The Amateur places Charlie, a cerebral character, at the center.
Yeah.
And his intelligence, his strategic thinking, and that depth of emotion become the driving forces of the plot.
It's a very different take on it.
Definitely.
Hawes also states that the big essential heart of it is the character of Charlie, and he is the hero and the justice you didn't see coming, the unexpected hero.
I like that.
So what makes Charlie so unexpected, would you say?
Well, it's the way The Amateur challenges our preconceived notions of what a hero should be.
Okay.
Instead of relying on brute force, Charlie uses his brain as his primary weapon.
Right.
This is a fresh take on the revenge thriller.
Yeah.
And it's likely to appeal to fans of smart thrillers who crave a more complex and realistic portrayal of espionage.
Do you think the film will delve into the specifics of how Charlie uses his skills as a cryptographer to gain an advantage?
Absolutely. Think about it. Cryptography is all about deciphering codes,
Right.
finding patterns, and exploiting weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Those skills translate perfectly to the world of espionage.
Right.
I'm betting we'll see Charlie using his knowledge of encryption to outmaneuver his opponents, access classified information, and turn the tables in his favor.
That's a far cry from the typical car chases and shootouts we often see in this genre.
Yeah.
It sounds like The Amateur is elevating the intellectual aspect of espionage,
Definitely.
making it the real driving force of the action.
It's like they've taken the classic elements of a spy thriller and infused them with this brain power element.
Yeah.
Instead of just adrenaline pumping action.
Right.
We're going to get this cat and mouse game of wits.
Yeah.
Where every move, every decrypted message could have huge consequences. That's what makes this film so intriguing. It's a thriller for the thinking viewer.
I love that idea. A thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat intellectually as well as emotionally.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if in a world increasingly dominated by technology and information, a character like Charlie Heller, with his unique skill set,
Right.
could become a new kind of hero for our times.
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
He's not the typical muscle-bound hero of the past.
Yeah.
He represents a different kind of power. A power that comes from understanding information, manipulating it,
Right.
and using it strategically.
Yeah.
In a way, he's a symbol of how intellect can be the most potent weapon of all.
It's a refreshing perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm eager to see how the amateur brings this new breed of hero to life on the big screen.
Me too.
But before we get too carried away,
Sure.
there's another detail I want to circle back to.
Okay.
Something that really stood out to me from the Hollywood Reporter article.
All right, let's unpack that. Which detail are you thinking of?
Remember how we were discussing Charlie's motivations?
Yeah.
And how his quest for revenge is fueled by the love for his wife. Well, there's this quote from Malek in the article that really struck me.
Okay.
He says, Charlie's journey is not just about revenge. It's about confronting the systems that failed him and his wife.
Oh, that's a crucial insight.
Yeah.
It suggests that The Amateur isn't just a simple revenge story.
True.
It's also a commentary on larger issues of accountability
Yeah.
and the potential for corruption within powerful institutions like the CIA.
It's not just about Charlie versus the terrorists who killed his wife.
Right.
It's about him going up against the very organization he was a part of,
Yeah.
potentially exposing their secrets and challenging their authority.
And that's where his skills as a cryptographer become even more significant.
Yeah.
He's not just a skilled code breaker.
Yeah.
He's someone who can potentially unlock the secrets that these institutions want to keep hidden.
Wow.
Think about the real-world parallels.
Yeah.
The Snowden leaks, the Panama Papers.
Mm.
Those were all instances where individuals used their technical expertise to expose wrongdoing
Right.
and hold powerful entities accountable.
That's a really thought-provoking connection.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if the amateur will explore the ethical dilemmas that come with wielding that kind of knowledge and power.
Sure.
Will Charlie be tempted to use his skills for personal gain?
Right.
Or will he remain committed to exposing the truth, even if it puts him in danger?
That's the central question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's what makes Charlie such a compelling character.
Right.
He's not just a brilliant mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a moral agent,
Yeah.
someone who has to grapple with the consequences of his actions.
Uh-huh.
And in the world of espionage, where the lines between right and wrong are often blurred,
Right.
those choices become even more difficult.
It's almost like the film is setting up a parallel between the encryption Charlie uses in his work
Yeah,
and the secrets and deceptions that shroud the world of intelligence agencies.
I see that.
He's not just deciphering codes.
Right.
He's deciphering the truth.
Exactly. And that's where the amateur aspect of the title comes into play, I think.
Oh, how so?
He might be a highly skilled cryptographer.
Yeah.
But he's stepping into a world of espionage where the rules are different, where the stakes are higher,
Right.
and where he has to learn to navigate a whole new set of challenges.
It's fascinating to think about how his technical expertise might actually be both his strength and his weakness in this new environment.
Yeah, definitely.
On the one hand, it gives him a unique advantage.
Right.
On the other hand, it might make him a target,
Sure.
someone who knows too much.
And remember, we're talking about Rami Malek here.
Oh, yeah.
He has this incredible ability to portray characters who are both brilliant and vulnerable.
Yeah.
I can already imagine him perfectly capturing Charlie's internal struggle as he navigates this complex world, grappling with the weight of his knowledge and the consequences of his choices.
You know, this conversation is making me think about how the amateur might actually be more than just a spy thriller.
Really?
It sounds like it could also be a character study, a deep dive into the mind of someone who is forced to confront not only external threats, but also his own moral compass.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this film so exciting.
Uh-huh.
It's not just about explosions and car chases.
Right.
It's about exploring the human condition. The choices we make when faced with extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah.
And the consequences that ripple outward from those decisions.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm completely hooked.
Me too.
The Amateur sounds like a film that will challenge our expectations,
Yeah.
offering a fresh perspective on the spy thriller genre,
Right.
while also delivering a thought-provoking exploration of morality and the power of information in the digital age.
I agree.
It's a film that promises to keep us on the edge of our seats,
Absolutely.
both intellectually and emotionally.
Yeah. And I have a feeling it's going to spark some really interesting conversations
For sure.
long after the credits roll.
So before we wrap things up, let's touch on the director's comment again about the film delivering on those classic spy thriller tropes.
Yeah.
But with a twist.
Right.
What aspects of the movie do you think might feel familiar to fans of the genre?
Okay. Sure.
And how might The Amateur subvert those expectations?
Well, the basic premise of a lone wolf protagonist seeking revenge is certainly a familiar trope in spy thrillers. We've seen it in countless films before.
For sure.
But what sets The Amateur apart is the way it grounds that premise in a character
Okay.
whose primary weapon is his intellect, not physical prowess.
So instead of relying on brute force or elaborate gadgets,
Right.
Charlie's going to be outsmarting his opponents,
Yeah.
using his knowledge of cryptography to outmaneuver them and stay one step ahead.
Precisely. And that's where the twist comes in.
Okay.
The film seems to be suggesting that in today's world where information is power, the most dangerous and effective spies are the ones who can manipulate data, exploit vulnerabilities,
Right.
and use their minds as the ultimate weapon.
It's almost like the film is reflecting the evolution of espionage in the real world,
Yeah,
where cyber warfare and information warfare are becoming increasingly prevalent.
exactly. And by placing a cryptographer at the center of the story,
Right.
The Amateur taps into that reality,
Yeah.
offering a more contemporary and perhaps even more realistic depiction of modern espionage.
So to sum it all up, if you're looking for a revenge thriller that's smart, suspenseful, and emotionally resonant,
Yeah,
with a protagonist who uses his brain instead of brawn,
right.
The Amateur should definitely be on your radar.
Absolutely. It's a film that promises to deliver a fresh take on the genre,
Yeah.
while also offering a thought-provoking exploration of the power of information and the moral dilemmas faced by those who hold the keys to unlocking its secrets.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
It was a pleasure.
For more deep dives, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, and be sure to check us out online for all the latest updates and information about the show.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep